So we are continuing with our discussion of chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, which is called The Most Confidential Knowledge. I explained previously, confidential knowledge is I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul. More confidential knowledge is that there is another superior soul, the Paramatma. So the individual Jivatma is limited to the knowledge of its particular body, but the Paramatma, who is four-handed, dwelling in the heart, he is conscious of all the bodies. That is the first lesson of chapter 13. There are two knowers of the field, the individual soul and Paramatma. But the difference is, I know what's happening in my body, you know what's happening in your body, but you don't know what's happening in my body, I don't know what's happening in your body. But Krishna is aware of everybody because the same Krishna is in everyone's heart. It's not that it's a different Krishna. Krishna is one, and he's in everyone's heart. But that particular manifestation of Krishna is the four-handed Vishnu Narayan form, not the two-handed Krishna playing the flute who's on our altar. That Krishna is not situated in the heart, the four-handed Narayan form. So that's more confidential knowledge. Then most confidential knowledge is knowledge of Krishna himself in his two-handed form, as well as knowledge of his devotional service. We left off on text number 11. So I have broken out the chapter into different sections. So verses 11 through 15 I have entitled the Duratma, the Mahatma, and others. Follow along, please, in your sheets. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Fools deride me when I descend in the human form." So, first question, who can give me some incarnations of Krishna in the human form? Yes? Huh? Ram? Buddha? Balaram? Yes? Who else? Parashuram? Krishna himself? What's that? Vamanadev. I'm not sure. I think I have to check. I'm not sure. I'd have to check. Vamanadev might, I don't know. I'd have to check that. Yes? Rishabdev, very good. Also, there's another one. Kapil. Kapiladev is in the two-handed form. Yeah, but that's a tortoise. That's not human. Yes. Any more? All right. So Krishna says, "Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated." So there are many examples of this. Hiranyakashipu was the topmost person in the universe, But when Lord Nrsingadev killed him, everything was finished. Ravana was the undisputed enjoyer, but when Ramachandra killed him, his whole dynasty was finished. So the demons, because they are envious of Krishna, they will not achieve liberation. What they're trying to achieve, their fruitive activities, will also be defeated because it's on a false platform. Kamsa was allowed to go on with his activities, but at the right time, Krishna killed Kamsa. Kamsa had set up a whole alliance of all the demoniac kings. We hear about this in the beginning of the 10th canto. How Kamsa had aligned all the demons on the earth under him. And they had built up their military force. So Kamsa was allowed to carry on his nefarious activities, but then at the right time, Krishna killed Kamsa, and that whole thing was finished. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. So the demoniac, they are under the material nature, but devotees are under the protection of the divine nature. So the non-devotees, they're under Durga. And the devotees, they are under Radha, Rukmini, Lakshmi, Mother Hara. Which is why we first say Hare Krishna. We first say Sita Ram. We first say Lakshmi Narayan, so that we become under the shelter of the divine nature. And that's why Prabhupada says Mother Hara. Mother Hara is Srimati Radharani. So the devotees are under the protection of the divine nature. In chapter 7, we learned that there were two natures: the inferior material nature and the superior internal nature or energy. Those are the two natures. Let's continue. They are fully engaged in devotional service. So that is how you know somebody is under the shelter of the divine nature. So you and I, what's happening? Sometimes we're under the shelter of the material energy because we don't engage in devotional service. But when you engage in devotional service, for that period of time, you are under the protection of the divine nature. As soon as you stop doing devotional service, immediately you're under the protection or shelter of the material energy. That's why we are called tatastha, marginal. The example is given. You're walking along the beach, and if you walk right alongside the water, the waves sometimes come and cover your feet, and then sometimes the waves don't. Have you ever done that walk right at the edge? So, either way you want to look at it. So sometimes we're covered by the material energy, and sometimes we're under the shelter of the superior energy. One of Prabhupada's disciples, he said, "Oh Prabhupada, I'm very sorry. I fell into Maya." Prabhupada said, "No, you're always in Maya. Sometimes you fall into Krishna." So that is our situation. That is our position. So if you want to be under the protection of the divine nature, then you have to engage in devotional service. So, how many ways of devotional service are there? 9. Which one are you doing right now? Shravanam, you're hearing. So there's hearing and chanting, remembering, praying, worshiping, serving the lotus feet, rendering confidential service, and completely surrendering. So we can engage in 1, 2, 3, up to 9 kinds. Ambarish, he did all 9 items of devotional service. And different devotees are given as examples of the perfection. Hearing was perfected by who? Yes, because for 7 days and 7 nights, he was completely absorbed in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. In July, we will do our 7 days of Bhagavat Katha. So that's happening in July. You will be getting a email soon.
I'll give you all details today.
Then, who achieved perfection by chanting? Who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam? Shukadeva Goswami. Then remembrance. The example is Prahlad. Every time his father tried to kill him, Prahlad remembered the Lord. Then someone went down voluntarily to render service to the Lord's lotus feet. She was on his chest, Lakshmi. She wanted to have the same taste as the devotees, so she left the chest of the Lord and she rendered service to the Lord's lotus feet. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam. Archanam. Archanam was perfected by King Prithu. He worshipped the Lord. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam. Archanam, Vandanam. Somebody was on a chariot going to Vrindavan, and he offered prayers all the way. Akrura. And when he saw Krishna's footprints in the dust of Vrindavan, he rolled in the dust. And then later, when Akrura was taking Krishna out of Vrindavan, they took a bath in the Yamuna, and Akrura saw that Krishna and Balaram turned into Mahavishnu and Sheshanag, although he thought he had left them on the chariot. And when Akrura went to take his bath, he saw that Krishna and Balaram were again in the Yamuna, even though he just left them on the chariot. And then they turned into Mahavishnu and Sheshanag. And so Akrura offered more prayers. So he achieved perfection simply by offering prayers. Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. So this Dasyam, who achieved perfection by service? Hanuman. Simply by rendering menial service to Lord Ram, he achieved perfection. And even when Ram offered benedictions to Hanuman, Hanuman said, "No, I simply want to be your eternal servant." Same thing, Prahlad was offered benedictions by Nrsingadev. And Prahlad said, "No, you are my master. I am your servant. That's good enough for me." Then Sakyam. Who is Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita to? Because in chapter 4, Krishna pointed out the 2 reasons why he was speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Yes, Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti. You are my devotee as well as my friend. I was mentioning this last night in a program I did at someone's home. That Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't matter you're a man or a woman, you're young or old, Hindu, American, that doesn't matter. You just need 2 qualifications and you're fit to understand Bhagavad Gita. You may even be illiterate. Still you can understand Bhagavad Gita if you're Krishna's devotee and Krishna's friend. Yes, Krishna Kumar?
How you will be his friend? Because devotee have to be a chant.
Okay, just like you are my friend, yes? Are you my friend? My wife and I talk so much. You do so many things for me. Besides hosting programs, you arrange other programs for me. You're always looking out for me. You're my well-wisher, correct? So we can be that way with Krishna. Always doing things for Krishna. Always taking Krishna's side. Always speaking favorably about Krishna. So everyone can understand that Krishna is my dearmost friend. Krishna is my dearmost friend because what? He's in my heart. Who can get closer to me than Krishna? Nobody. He's your closest ally. And Krishna is always trying to render service to his devotee as the same way the devotee is always trying to render service to Krishna. It is a nice relationship. So when you're somebody's friend, you're always looking out for their interest. Krishna Kumar, just like, we're not going to mention any names, but we both know there's something going on somewhere, and the crux of the problem is nobody is thinking about Krishna's interest. They're thinking of what? I want the mic. An ego. So they're not acting as Krishna's friend. Instead, didn't you once tell me that some of these people want to shut the temple down, right? So how can you be Krishna's friend when you want to shut down his temple? What kind of friend is that's? Like me saying, I'm your friend, I'm going to kick you out of your house. That's not a friend. A friend, hey, pay attention. A friend is, you're always looking out for their interest. Just like you and Mausi. You have been accepted practically like a son, yes? Am I right? Yes. And when Jashpai was alive, right? You were always over there, right?
All the time.
And you were always taking advice from Jai Krishna Das, right? And whatever he told you, you did, right? So he was your friend. So that's how somebody sees Krishna. He's my friend. And I have to act favorably. Not stab him in the back. Not talk behind his. The devotee always sees Krishna favorably. Okay, and the last one, Atman Nivedanam, full surrender. When Vamanadev took everything away from Bali, Vamanadev said, you owe me the 3rd step. And Bali said, I still have my head. You can put your 3rd step on my head. So Prabhupada mentions that in one of his purports, that when Bali offered his head, that was full surrender to Krishna. Or another example, Draupadi is being ravaged by the Kauravas. They're trying to undress her, rape her. And what does she do? First, she's trying to hold on and protect herself. But then she realizes, what can I do? So she lets go, Hey Govinda. And when she fully surrendered, then Krishna became the sorry avatar. Unlimited sorry. And they kept pulling and pulling. As Prabhupada said, there were heaps of cloth. Because no matter how much they pulled, they never got to see naked Draupadi. And that action was the thing that caused the destruction of their whole family. That is what Krishna decided. That's it. They're done. Because of that violation against Draupadi, that was the thing that ultimately caused the whole battle of Kurukshetra. And all the 100 sons, how many lived? Not one. Imagine, 100 sons and none live. All because of one violent act against a woman. Just a very serious thing. And then, as I said, Ambarish, he did all nidams of devotional service. And Lord Chaitanya points out, of the 9, 2 are most important. What are they? That's right. And you know I've been emphasizing that for 25 years. For 25 years I've been repeating that over and over. Everything's based on hearing and chanting. Yes.
Question. So how we can apply serenity process?
Very simple. Are you executing the orders of your spiritual master? Then you're surrendered. Krishna told Sudama, the Brahmin, right? When Krishna met Sudama later on, when Krishna was living in Dwarka, and Sudama came to see Krishna, and he visited him in Rukmini's palace, okay? At that time, Krishna told Sudama, when I see someone executing the orders of their spiritual master, I become very pleased with that person. What do we see in ISKCON? What's the first prayer? Gurvashtakam. 7 o'clock comes. What's the first prayer after Govindam? Sri Guru Charana Padma. Prabhupada hammered on that, emphasizing this is how you make success. You strictly follow your spiritual master. Remember that. That is the key to the kingdom of God. Prabhupada. Why did Prabhupada come to America at the age of 70? Why? His guru told him to. Prabhupada was already self-realized. He was living in Vrindavan, and yet he decided, no, my guru has ordered me. He left. You know what it's like. You like leaving Vrindavan? Do you like leaving? You like leaving Vrindavan? Yeah, you want to stay there. If you could, you love it in there, right? Yes. So don't you think Prabhupada wanted to stay in Vrindavan? But that order of the spiritual master had to be executed. All right, let's finish up this section. Always chanting my glories. How much chanting? Oh. Some people think, oh, why do I have to chant? Well, I'm sorry. Krishna says the devotees are always chanting. It says right here, always chanting my glories. Endeavoring with great determination. But what are they endeavoring? They're endeavoring, what, to get the microphone, Krishna Kumar? No, they're endeavoring to serve Krishna. Right? They're not endeavoring how I can become big, important person. No, they're endeavoring to serve Krishna. Like Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri, in order to execute the order of Krishna, underwent lots of tribulation in order to get the sandalwood. You know the story. Madhavendra Puri, in a dream, was told by Krishna, you have to go hundreds of miles and get the sandalwood because the deity says, I'm still burning up from fever. So Madhavendra Puri had to undergo lots of trouble to get that sandalwood. So, and Prabhupada had to undergo so much trouble to start this movement. Had to come on a boat, 2 heart attacks on the boat. 2. Then in that first year in New York, 9-10 months, nothing happening. At one point, he was staying somewhere and the boy took LSD and he attacked Prabhupada. Prabhupada had to run out into the street. Now, where do I go now? He had nowhere to go. Prabhupada underwent so much tribulation to start this movement. And if you've read the book, Prabhupada wanted to do those 3 temples in India, Bombay,